Hi everyone, this episode is going to exceed the 60-minute length that we normally adhere to. We just had a lot to say. I'm also here to let you know that we're going to be taking a break during the Memorial Day weekend. After that, we'll be back to our normal schedule of a new episode every other week. I'm also going to confess to confusing the production notes with Dalek and The Long Game. If you listen to both of these episodes when they're out, you'll see that it's actually one long conversation. Enjoy! Hello and welcome to Who Knew? We are fans of the current series of Doctor Who, where we discuss our likes, dislikes, and insights of this current incarnation of the series. Today's episode is called Dalek. It is episode 6 in series 1. And this is the episode where Rose and the Doctor follow a distress call to a surprising source, a Dalek. This episode first aired on the 30th of April 2005. It is written by Robert Shearman, directed by Joe Ahern, produced by Phil Collinson, and then executive produced by Russell T Davies, Julie Gardner, and Mal Young. Thanks again to Michael Grady for our wonderful theme music. And my name is Eugene. I'll be the moderator for today's episode. And let's go around the table.
Yes. And my name is Kelsey, and I'm here. This is my 3rd episode that I'm giving my lovely commentary to.
We're lovely to have you.
My name is Auburn, and this is my 6th episode to give my commentary to.
Hi, my name is Brian, and I've been here for all of them.
Hello, this is Frank.
Hi, I'm Arlene, and I don't know how many I've done.
Hi, this is Josh.
Yeah, I was told there would be no math.
Well, let's get started with the math. This episode raked in the viewership of 7.73 million viewers in the overnight. And it was also before broadcast, the media watchdog organization, Media Watch UK complained about certain elements of this episode, characterizing Van Statten's chaining and torture of the Doctor as sadomasochistic.
Please.
And they also the invitation to Adam and Rose to canoodle or spoon, or whatever you British do, quote unquote. Also, they deemed it as inappropriate sexual language.
Oh my.
Are you kidding? What are you talking about?
We'll get to that later.
What?
Wow.
Yeah.
What show are they watching?
I don't know. Anyway, the TARDIS materializes in the year 2012, which is Rose's future because she is in the year 2006.
It was also the future of the audience at the time.
At the time, yes, but today it is our past. Because today is 2015, not 2012.
Sure.
Wibbly wobbly.
So, materializing in 2012, inside an underground bunker in Utah, the Doctor and Rose discover a museum of alien artifacts 53 stories below ground level. They look through the exhibits and wonder where the distress call they heard came from. An alarm goes off and they quickly are captured by heavily armed men.
It's fun because you see a Cyberman.
Yes,
yeah, that's right. Before that, we see the Cyberman head.
And we see a Cyberman head from the previous incarnation.
From the classic show.
And I think that is also cool.
Yeah, this is the episode where they're really tying the classic series in with the current.
Yeah, I remember seeing that.
I like that a lot.
Yeah, and I remember seeing that and him looking at the head of the Cyberman and going, old friend? More like an old enemy.
Yeah.
I was like, ooh, what's the story behind that?
I also thought, too, that this is the first episode so far that kind of starts off kind of dark or a more just a serious tone. Mm-hmm. They're in the museum. They're not joking around. They're not talking about Cardiff or anything like that.
Yeah.
And he gets serious quickly, and then all of a sudden the alarm goes off. And I'd have to think back, but it struck me as the first time it's not like a fun opening. It's very interesting, and it's kind of geeky fun because you see all those artifacts.
Yeah, I think it's also playing fan service at this point.
Yeah. But it definitely was a change in tone.
The opening for this episode was also the driest in terms of music, I thought.
Right.
We start in silence after they get into the museum, and music doesn't really kick in until the guards come in.
Yeah.
And does anyone notice the helicopter? What they said? Okay.
We'll get there.
Okay, we'll get there.
And among the other things are also a Slitheen arm and part of a Roswell spaceship.
Now, is it Celadine?
Slitheen.
Or is it just a Raxacorical arm? Because we learned from
That's right.
It's a
Sarah Jane that there were others on the planet. So
You never know.
They are then brought to the owner of the collection, a Mr. Henry Van Staten, an extremely rich and powerful man who claims to own the internet. And I don't know, is he related to Al Gore? Anybody? Anyway.
You waiting for that all week?
Well, this is time travel, so I've only been waiting for it a couple minutes. You people reacted inappropriately to that joke. We also meet his assistant, Diana Goddard, and main technician Adam Mitchell, a young British genius who studies the extraterrestrial objects. Since the Doctor is familiar with alien technology, Van Staten takes him to see his living specimen, which he has named a Metaltron. At the same time, Adam escorts Rose to his laboratory to show her some of the other items he's secretly working on.
I'd like to start. The first time that we see Van Staten walking down the aisle, he's there with a lot of energy. He has all the answers. He is, in command of the situation. I almost think they set him up as a possible, like a reflection of what the Doctor could be. Like if he had more bravado, if this was an American show, this is very easily like the Doctor's attitude, like come in, don't take any prisoners.
And then fire somebody right away.
Yeah. I think that'll play throughout the episode, him being kind of a anti-Doctor.
I did notice that too. I agree with that. Because he does say people are just expendable, usable. He has so much power that he can just rearrange who the president is and wipe people's memories when he's done with them and throw them away.
And the Doctor could be like funny.
Yes, Democrats are so funny. But the Doctor could do that. You could see that later on. I don't want to give too many spoilers away. That he could cross that line at some point, and he's not going to.
The world. The Doctor is always manipulating the world, right, to a certain extent.
So it is the same coin, kind of the two faces going, which is interesting, which is a good point on Van Staten.
Yes.
I'm also glad that they got an American to play this character.
Instead of a guy doing an American accent.
Yeah, because a couple of the other people, it's just kind of like, fire. They're really working on those R's.
Do we think that the woman was American?
Diana Goddard?
Yeah, I didn't hear her. She didn't sound British underneath all that, but...
We will look that up right now.
Like some of the military guys were definitely British doing American accents.
Well, yeah, that's Central Casting Military Academy.
It was just funny.
Whatever that it is over there.
Yeah, and this is also where we get the first reference to Bad Wolf in this episode with the helicopter.
In this episode.
Yeah, coming down. And Bad Wolf count, is this no.
I think it might have been in every episode.
It wasn't in the pilot.
It wasn't in the pilot. So this is the fifth.
Yeah, it's
this is the fifth reference to the Bad Wolf. For those of you following along at home, which I don't know where else you'd be following.
Okay.
Anyway.
Oh, I do believe she is English.
Well, there you go. She did a good job.
She did a great job.
Good for you, lady. What's her name?
And Maggie Smith is her mother-in-law.
Get out of here.
Yeah,
that's probably why she's just doing a Maggie Smith impersonation.
I see the resemblance.
Everybody can imitate their mother-in-law. It ain't hard.
I like the character, but I couldn't figure out her. Was she on the Doctor side, Van Staten's side, her own side?
At the end we find out, but you don't know until then. At this point,
yeah.
But throughout the episode, she seems to emote different feelings. It's like either... I agree with you, yeah. Well, I don't want to give too much. We'll get to it as we go along.
Maybe she's on the audience side.
Ooh.
Yeah, I kind of wondered that.
Like she's us.
She's us, yeah.
And then we get a little scene, like a little what do you want to call it? Little scuffle between, or testing of, just a little fight.
Testosterone?
Yeah, testosterone. Yeah, with the Doctor and Van Staten, as he has this thing in his hands that he doesn't know what to do with, and the Doctor's like, you have to be gentle. It's a musical instrument. And then we show. I think this is a great storytelling point because Van Staten is able to replicate and even add to the instrument.
He's actually able to do it.
Yeah, and almost do it better.
Yeah.
And then he just throws it away.
Yeah, I was really happy that he was actually able to do it.
And impress the doctor.
It's like he values it but doesn't respect it.
Well, it's not a
But it
weapon.
shows that Van Statten is skilled.
Yeah.
He's not just an idiot.
But
with power.
then,
that's true. That's a good point.
You know, that Van Statten knows
there's something to hear.
Yeah.
So he's not just some cardboard cutout of a villain for the episode.
Exactly. Although,
I
mean, he is pretty cardboard. But yeah.
But then he realizes it's a musical instrument. It's not a weapon, and throws it away.
But I feel like it's like what they were saying about Americans in general. Who cares about the arts? Who cares about all these wonderful things? All I care about is something to destroy and make me better and make more money.
Yeah, they do that a lot on
So I felt
Doctor
like
Who.
it's like, this is my opinion on American people, and that's about it.
Does anybody recognize that actor from the Van Statten who played Van Statten?
He's done stuff.
He was the guy. He was in Hellboy. There you go.
Yes, most actors do other roles.
But yes, he was in Hellboy. I remember that. He was like the right hand.
Yeah, he was a guy to Hellboy.
Yeah, like the handler, I guess.
Yes,
is what you call him.
Yes. He was also the helicopter pilot in Ex Machina.
Oh. We have our own theories about what happened to that helicopter pilot.
We do.
I think he died. Anyway, so the Doctor is locked up into an unlit room where the Metaltron is chained up. After offering to help the creature and identifying himself as the Doctor, it is revealed that the creature is a Dalek. The Dalek attempts to shoot the Doctor, but it has no power. The Doctor tells the Dalek that he has destroyed the entire Dalek race and means that this one is all alone. I enjoyed how they covered this.
Yeah, it was the first time you see the Doctor frightened, or terrified at least.
Yeah.
Even.
He goes through a lot of emotions at this point.
And the way they cover it, they keep a close-up of him with the Dalek in the background. And it's always focused on Eccleston's eyes. And it's really powerful. Because there's a lot of exposition, but a lot of emotion.
Yeah, this is a really good case of storytelling exposition. Like you said, there's lots of emotions in it. Also, the cinematography is great. Yeah. And it's also a really good example of where practicals really make a difference. Yeah. Like Eccleston's performance to this being that's there but not alive is amazing. And I don't think you would have gotten that with a CGI Dalek.
Absolutely.
Oh, no, yeah. Well, that's also, I don't know if we get to there, but once the thing starts moving around and just how slowly paced, it's a real, like Mike Myers, like Halloween type of suspense. It's not where it's just slowly threatening, like that whole the zombie scared, not that something's chasing us scared. Whereas as the show goes on, you see more of the Daleks in other episodes. It's sort of the same thing, but they are more of a obvious physical threat.
Yeah.
So it's going back and watching this older episode, it really struck me how slow paced it was, in a good way.
I'm agreeing
but
with you.
It was like, wow, they're milking this.
Yeah.
I kind of wish the name of the episode was Metaltron or something other than Dalek.
Yeah.
Because I feel like that could have been a great scene that we would have picked that up for those of who have seen the other incarnation of the Doctor.
There was also a lot of controversy because the promo that was tagged on the end of last week showed that it was a Dalek.
It gave too much away.
Yeah, and a lot of people were very upset about that. I think Russell Davies was upset about that too. It was like, you just gave away the whole thing, but you named the episode Dalek.
Yeah. But I remember watching this for the first time and not knowing what a Dalek was. I was just so interested, like fascinated. What is this thing? Why?
Had you heard of Daleks before?
No, not before this episode.
Really?
Me neither. It sort of looked familiar to me because I didn't watch the old incarnation, but his performance, like his terrification, him being so terrified, really sold like took away the silliness of what it looks like. Then they even made a joke about the plunger when it plunged the guy's face.
Well, that's a classic series thing because the plunger was never used for anything. I don't.
Oh,
think.
not at all.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Not every Dalek had the plunger, but it was always a joke.
And then they used it to for the keypad, like R2D2. Like it made it work. It was like if a kid built this thing, and this is what this does, and this is what this does, and I kind of got into the fun of that. But yeah, I didn't. I liked how it legitimized these things that I was sort of familiar with the old series, but thought it looked silly.
And I think I read that this episode was the reason Eccleston signed on for the series.
Oh, really?
And I want to say it's almost that this is the scene that he signed on for.
Yeah, maybe.
Because
he goes through every emotion.
Yeah, it shows a lot.
Would explain why he stopped doing it then.
So the Dalek asks about the Time Lords and finds out that the Doctor is also the last of his kind. The Doctor decides to exterminate the Dalek, but Van Statten's people stop him. Since the Dalek won't speak to Van Statten, he orders one of his scientists, Simmons, to continue torturing it to make it talk.
Yeah, can we go back to talk about the Time War a little bit?
I was going to say, how much do we learn right now about the Time War?
Well, the Dalek is learning that his side lost the war. He doesn't know.
But you know what? Making me think.
We as an audience, what did we know at this point?
We didn't know anything.
We knew a little bit. We knew something had happened.
We knew there was a war.
We knew he was the last of the Time Lords.
Yeah, but we didn't know exactly what happened. And
so now we know it was a war between the Daleks and the Time Lords.
And what he did.
And that
it was him. And what I think now, it's just making me realize now, what's cool about the writing of this is that we're learning about it with the antagonist. There's not like a third party character who's supposed to be the audience. It's like, I think that's why it works so well, because
he's not telling a companion.
He's not telling a companion. He's actually having an argument with the antagonist that means something, and it's also all expository, but it's also essential to the plot. That's really cool.
Well, it's
something I've always been confused as a viewer, not having watched any of the old series, is when did the Time War take place in the Doctor Who timeline if we're stretching between the original series and the reboot?
Right in between.
Right in between. Okay.
Because it was not in the classic series.
Okay,
no.
so
it was a shock to classic Who fans. It was a huge shock.
Yes.
I mean, it would be as if they did a Star Trek show. Oh, they could in the near future. Where the Federation, you start a new episode of Star Trek and the Federation's gone.
Yeah,
there's no Federation anymore.
It's a big deal to have
There's no Earth.
No Daleks and...
Wait, what?
And no Time Lords? That's almost like no Federation, no Klingons.
Yeah, no Federation, no Klingons. They're all gone.
Or I guess the Borg in this case.
Yeah,
whatever.
Okay, so the Time War just happened, and the Doctor that we meet in the pilot, in Rose, is a soldier who just ended the war by blowing up both sides.
Yes.
He's the only survivor.
Yes.
And now in this episode, he finds out that someone from the other side, the enemy, also survived. And he's reconfronted with that massive decision that he made of blowing up his race and the other side's race. Okay.
Yes.
That adds so much.
Yeah.
Sheds so much light onto this episode. And this happened to be the first episode that I ever watched.
Oh, really?
Oh, really?
And didn't like. So.
Well, you came
wait.
Because I came into it.
The first episode you watched or the first episode you didn't like?
Oh, the first episode I ever watched.
Of this series, because she watched the other stuff.
Well, my parents watched the original.
But to be fair, you did
Tom
come into
Baker.
the Dalek episode not from the beginning.
Correct.
Okay.
Oh. Well, when did you come in?
I think I walked into this episode like 10 minutes in. Like my boyfriend was watching it, and I walked in the living room and, what are you watching? Oh, watch this with me. Okay. I know Doctor Who. My parents watched it. Like, yeah.
Right.
Oh, this is not your parents' Doctor Who.
Right. Yeah.
I'm surprised to hear that from Brian.
No, and then
Why?
You don't like me saying that to you?
Oh, I know.
No, but the whole episode with the trying to figure out when the Time War was, I have been watching for how many years, and I just figured it out like 2 weeks ago that the Time War was right before the series.
Yeah, I figured it out watching this episode.
I was like,
oh, wait.
So what
it
if
must
I'm
have
not
just
mistaken,
happened.
what he did to end the Time War is what killed him to regenerate him.
See, that's what I thought.
Well,
that's what I thought.
We don't know that.
We don't know that for a fact.
But from watching this episode the first time, that's what I thought.
There's and they didn't know either. But they were putting in little hints. Like in the pilot, he's looking at his face going, wow, I've got big ears.
Mm-hmm.
Like he'd never seen himself in the mirror before. So they were suggesting that he was recently regenerated. Although if you were a completely new fan, you wouldn't know what regeneration is yet anyway.
That's true.
But, I think they're kind of figuring it out as they went along. We've since had it pretty well mapped out. up to today
Yeah.
of what happened during the Time War.
So do you also think this doctor is suffering from
PTSD?
Yes, very much so.
Also survivors.
Just by the way he
guilt.
reacts.
Yeah. No, that's what I'm thinking. I mean, like rewatching this episode, the doctor is just crazy.
Yeah.
Like
Yes,
he's just, and I think that says like for someone watching the show for the very first time, and this is my first episode, like a crazy out of his mind doctor is not that appealing. But
Yeah,
we'll
by
get
the
to
end
that.
of the episode, we haven't gotten there yet, but by the end of the episode, he gets pulled back by the humanity of Rose.
Mm-hmm.
So there's a redemption there.
This
But
is the first time we
he-
see him wanting to kill something.
Yes. But he's crazy, but so's the Dalek. So there's another two sides of the same coin.
It's like a dysfunctional
Because the Dalek
marriage.
went crazy getting pulled out of the Time War because it shouldn't have been able to.
But I don't. No, but I also don't think that this is the first time we see him wanting to kill someone. He kills Clarissa, what's her name? The skin thing.
He allows her to die.
He just allows her to
He
tie her own
kills
noose.
her.
But that one was more justified. You can kind of brush that one aside. This one is like
He's
full
maniacal.
on, full on anger and
But it's-
vengeance towards something else.
It's justified too to kill a Dalek. They're a horrible race.
But at this point, we don't know what they are. So I think it's great that we don't know why he hates them so
Right.
much.
Well, the other episode was like poetic justice.
Yeah.
Well, the other episode, Cassandra, we know what she's done. So we have that
Right.
information. Here, you just see a Dalek that they've been torturing,
Well, also this
and he wants to
Dalek.
kill him, and you don't know why if you're new to this.
Well, also this Dalek is he's a soldier. He's not like in high command. So he's just following orders and looking for more orders. So he's almost a pawn in this bigger time war. So I think that's what makes him.
I mean, he like pulls the lever to electrocute the
Yeah.
Dalek, which makes the Dalek scream. So you're torturing the Dalek. He didn't go and rip Cassandra to shreds.
I mean, her death was going to be instant.
He didn't pick away at layers of skin.
And the reason she did blow up was because she made it so hot in there. So it was her own actions that kind of did it, and he just let that
It's
happen.
a little different.
And she's not dead. Oh, sorry.
Spoilers.
No, and then going back to watch this episode with the Dalek, I finally realized, because the whole time watching Doctor Who, especially with this episode, I'm like, why are you so afraid of this tin can? But going back after seeing what's happened and going back and watching this episode makes me feel like, oh, this is a very evil character. And these are things that you should be afraid of. I felt like it was explained and kind of spelled out really well, except for like a viewer with the naked eye who's never seen one before. It's kind of like, oh, yeah, it's a box or it's...
Yeah. Well, as the episode goes on, you see how dangerous it is. But when you see him be all that afraid, you're right. You don't know, like, well, how could this thing be dangerous? But then you see it.
But I think it plays into that whole relentless, focused one.
Determinator.
Yeah, it's just it's a race that's just focused to one thing and it won't ever stop. It's zombies. It's the Borg. It's Cybermen. It's just they're relentless. They won't stop, and all they want to do is kill you. And yeah, it looks like a salt shaker.
Pepper pot.
Yeah, pepper pot. That's what he said.
I'm being
That's what we called
American.
it.
Also, I wanted to point out this is just something totally different, but the blue lights are always present in this version of Doctor Who. Like the sonic screwdriver is blue, the Dalek's eye stalk is blue. I think they just love blue lighting. Like
Weren't the Dalek eye stalks always blue?
but this one was more like when you see the black room, the dark room, and then all of a sudden there's just this blue light.
Oh, yeah.
It's very like blue, pointing out blue.
Sad.
Maybe.
I did like it when the Doctor really was like getting up into its eye stalk,
Yeah.
and so the blue was shining on his face.
Yeah,
and-
that was great. And you can't have that without a practical standard.
No, yeah, totally.
It
And
works.
the other thing I liked about it, which I just noticed when we watched it today, is that scene where they're in that intense close-up and, wow, my microphone's blue. The Dalek says something and you can see the reflection of his lights
Yeah.
in his eye stalk.
Mhm.
And it's just, again, practical. You wouldn't have thought it, you wouldn't get that from digital. Or you might, but
But it'd be
It
hard.
would cost money.
yeah, those are happy accidents.
So now the story moves into another tone. where Rose and Adam are flirting in his office.
So awkward.
Yeah. Adam hacks into the comm system to show Rose the creature, the Metaltron.
Why was it awkward? It was
I just don't like the guy. he
Why?
Are you being
Why don't
Are you
Why
jealous?
don't you
No,
like
no,
it?
it was just them just flirting young people. And
Yeah, I don't know.
he's saying,
He seemed like a little boy, and even though she's supposed to be 19, she just seemed like a woman, a young woman.
well, partly because she's seen things. She's gone and traveled.
I think
And
that's
he's
how they were
talking
playing
about
it.
all this. This is real. I'm just figuring out all of this alien stuff is real. She was, and she is treating him a little like a kid. That's nice, dear. Yes,
Yeah.
I could see that being real.
Yeah.
Just like when a kid
you have
discovers
an
something on
alien
his
hair
own.
dryer. That's lovely.
Yeah, right. I don't know. I just don't like the guy.
Well, speaking of Adam, he asks Rose about the doctor, and she says, "We're just friends at this point." I find that interesting that they went on a
Well, she's very
date.
defensive about it.
Yeah. But anyway. Then...
But they are just friends.
well,
No, but they are.
no, I know.
All right.
I'm just saying that there's... Anyway.
She made sure that Adam knew that.
Yes.
Yeah.
Right.
That's what I'm trying to
That
get
is
at.
true. Yes.
So back to what's going on. Adam hacks into the comm systems to show Rose the feed from that room where the doctor has now been removed from, and this guy Simmons is torturing the Dalek. So they see this.
They're showing you again Rose's curiosity, because it's Rose that wants to. Rose is
figure
like,
out.
oh yeah, this alien tech is wonderful. What's the live alien?
Yeah, what's going on?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So she's the one who instigates.
Is this where before she goes in? He's like, "Don't get too close," and the first thing she does is get too close.
No, this is before they do that.
Okay.
Yeah. And then so from that we cut to Van Staten, because he realizes that the doctor is unique and has him tied up and begins painful examination/torture. Van Staten reveals that he has made his fortune from alien technology he has found on Earth, and the doctor warns him that the Dalek will kill everyone on the planet if it is not destroyed. Van Staten doesn't believe him and continues to torture the Dalek. The doctor. I find this interesting that Van Staten is almost reverse engineering certain alien artifacts and things and making his fortune off of other people's, like he's almost like a parasite.
Yeah, you got Wi-Fi from the Roswell show.
Broadband.
Oh, I didn't catch that. They say that in there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then they got the cure for the common cold,
which
out
would
of
be
the-
particularly
Oh, right.
interesting to you guys.
Yeah. Yes, I would really like to have that cure right now. But they found the cure to the common cold in the Tukunska Russian
Okay.
Great.
Oh,
crater.
that's cool.
Yeah.
Because part of me was wondering.
And he's
The part-
such a businessman, because I could totally see a businessman going, "I have the cure for the common cold, and I'm not going to tell anybody."
Well, yeah,
Yeah.
because they really do. Because I was curious as to what is he doing to the doctor? Is it just some maniacal evil thing for television, or like is there some thought behind why it hurt? Like why does it hurt? Why does it?
It's invasive probes.
Right. Well,
It is. It seems to be other alien technology that is not meant to care about the patient.
Right.
It is an invasive probe. I mean, it's hurting him to divulge that he has two hearts and what's going on.
It's like laser
and
fluid.
Van Staten doesn't care. It
I was
doesn't
gonna say
care if he
it
hurts
was
you.
the rejected plans for the MRI that didn't make it through.
Right.
So-
Oh, I was gonna say this was another awesome cinematography scene. We have super close-ups on the doctor sweating and seeing Van Staten. Sorry, I've been watching Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. and so this guy is like my Hydra leader in my head. But yeah, just a wonderful scene, shot very well. Lots of nice close-ups on that emotion from the doctor.
I like how the doctor tells Van Staten that the Dalek is better than you. The Dalek is at least truth.
Yeah.
And
Right.
what he wants. And Van Staten's just a user and is nothing.
Right.
And doesn't face Van Staten at all because he feels he's invincible. He has the power. It doesn't matter.
All right. So at this point, Rose and Adam go to see the Dalek, who tells them it is dying. In a moment of sympathy, Rose touches the Dalek, and it instantly accesses her genetic material. This causes cellular reconstruction and allows it to break free. As it kills Simmons, another technician, initiates a condition red, and as it kills Simmons, this is where the plunger.
Mm-hmm. What are you going to do? Sucker me to death?
Yes, right. Yes, actually, yes.
That was great.
And I think
now here, when Rose is talking to the Dalek, and the Dalek is all depressed. I am in pain.
Yeah,
all that. Frank and I were talking earlier. Is the Dalek playing Rose?
Yeah, I don't know, because I thought that something was weird too, because it seemed sad. This is before Rose touched it. Yeah, it seemed sad. It seemed lost. It seemed to have an emotion besides hate. So,
well, remember, it's insane at this point, so it could be.
Oh, okay.
Well, it's also been tortured for who knows how long.
So
like years.
It didn't. I could still see what it was saying to Rose being true, but also Rose said, "I have a friend here who can help you." So the Dalek knows she's connected to the Doctor. So is the Dalek in some way like trying to get her sympathy to touch him?
Yes, totally.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I don't think we realized. I mean, for me as watching it, I didn't realize that until at the end of the episode.
Of course, yeah.
At first, I thought it was just a coincidence that she touched it, but then later I was like, oh no, that she said, "I'm here. I have a friend who can help you. His name's the Doctor." And then the Dalek started talking to her.
Right.
So
help me.
Because before it wasn't. Rose walked in and was like, "Hi, can I help you? Are you in pain?"
The old silent treatment.
Yeah. And then I have a friend, he's called the Doctor. And then the Dalek started talking to her. So yeah, it was manipulating Rose. Yeah. Absolutely.
He was a manipulative Dalek. That's so cool. Sorry.
But on the flip side, I think it's cool that Rose is still reaching out to somebody.
Yeah.
Like
she's always looking to help somebody, whoever it is.
Yeah, like that blue plumber person in the end of the world.
And then even the psychic gal in the what's the name of that episode?
Gwyneth. In, the Unquiet Dead.
Yeah.
It just so happens that in the episode Dalek, she's talking to a Dalek.
Yeah.
But she doesn't know. So I don't know.
And I also, do you think when I was watching this, I was like, it really is the Doctor's fault that Rose didn't know who the Dalek was.
Thank you.
Because the Doctor could have explained to Rose what he just had been through, this big time war against the Daleks. Earlier.
I'm thinking there should be a companion 101. Hi, welcome to the TARDIS. This is where your room is. By the way, if you ever see this, or this, run.
Now, all the Daleks are supposed to be destroyed.
Yes, that's what I was going to say.
So there's no reason for him to
That's a good point.
tell her about this at the beginning.
Just
and he had no time because he's being tortured on his own. So he had no time after the fact that he figured out that the Metaltron's a Dalek.
Yeah, but I'm thinking just more about when they're just traveling through space and she's asking him questions.
He doesn't want to talk about it.
Yeah, I know, and that's his fault.
That's true.
That is true.
I'm just saying that's his fault.
He has PTSD.
But he's been around for quite a long time, and to fill in on every alien and situation that might come up. But the whole idea of the Doctor was exploring things as they're happening.
The Cybermen and the Daleks.
Or wouldn't the TARDIS do it? It can translate all these languages. Wouldn't want to put that into the companion's brain? Stupid TARDIS.
Oh, you're in
Well, we're going to learn about having some chip in your brain coming up in the next episode, so we'll leave it for that one.
Okay. The Doctor tells Van Statten to release him if he wants to live. He does, and together they go to the control room. The Dalek uses a computer to drain the power and the internet from the entire western half of the United States, giving it enough energy to repair itself.
And the Dalek cleans up really good.
Oh, yeah.
I love the look of this Dalek.
The CG was done well for this.
No, but even the practical, once it's all cleaned up and shiny, it's the brass and the gold, this is a really good version of a Dalek.
And watching the older versions too, it's a nice transition. It's not too different. It's enough retro.
Yeah.
That you can see like they're fans of the old series. So after the Dalek repairs itself, Rose and Adam run, but the Dalek follows them
slowly
and levitatingly, because this is the first time we get that with the stairs. And this was done for kids where, like, you can just defeat a Dalek by going through a stairwell. Well, then this is one of the instances where they...
Yeah, it's not the first time.
Yes. Yeah. But the first time in this...
Yes. Well, it's the first time we've seen a Dalek. But they did the old joke of, to get away from a Dalek, you just go to stairs. And the Dalek just levitates and continues to kill people.
Just like in RoboCop, Ed 209 is defeated by a flight of stairs.
But I think the first time they did it was the Seventh Doctor. I think it was Remembrance of Daleks. They had him levitated. He levitated up an elevator shaft, I believe.
Yeah, the first part of the 1988 serial Remembrance of the Daleks.
They did stare at it for quite a long time. Something they're running away from.
Yeah.
And it could have still shot him.
Huh?
So it could have still shot them from that distance.
Yeah.
So
then the episode would have been shorter.
Well, watching it again, because I did have that same idea, it really isn't that long of a wait.
No, it's not. But it's still, you're running away from something. With horror. The second you realize it could still come get you, you run.
Well, why only stop at the first flight? Why don't you keep going and go? You can't go.
I mean, it's TV logic, but it was,
I also wanted to point out the female security guard that stays with them. She needs to bring her A game. I am not believing what she is doing. It just seems very flat.
Oh, she didn't act it well?
Yeah, like she's giving the Dalek orders. Van Stanton will broker something with you if you agree to surrender now. It just seems very...
Well, it's hard to do an American accent.
Oh, that could be it.
I don't know. I liked that character. When I was watching that scene, the thing that I thought of was like, oh, the Doctor would like this person. Like if the Doctor was in this scene,
absolutely,
he would point out what an awesome human she is.
He'd say her first name and her last name and call her some nice thing.
I just wanted a
brilliant,
more present actor with more...
I thought she did fine on that. I mean, I thought just storyline of her staying behind, trying to stop it,
or maybe they did
was
that.
a waste. And
maybe
it's like, it's a waste. It's not working. No matter how many bullets. They don't know about the eye stalk being the weakest part yet.
Well, maybe they did cast her to go with the B horror movie aspect of the episode.
Well, yeah. I mean, I think that they just needed
somebody.
They need to keep having sacrifices so the end meant more.
Yeah, I agree. But I'm just...
and we also see for the first time the Dalek, when they shoot people, you get that awesome skeleton effect. I love that effect. To this day, I think that's one of their best effects. And the bullets.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Is that a carryover from the original? Okay.
I want to say it is, but they improved upon it because they would do the negative when you would get hit by
they would negative the whole screen.
Shot. Yeah, but they never did the skeleton, and I think they just added that, and it made it better.
One thing I did not like that's running throughout the episode was that they go to a minor chord and then back up in the music. I guess to show that the Dalek is insane, kind of sound that just was overplayed in my point of view. It just
I never heard it, and now I'm never not.
Sorry,
I know what he's talking about.
Sorry to all those people listening.
I know, they do it a lot. It's like a
all over
trope.
This episode.
And I think it's at this point when I said, okay, enough of that. I got it at the beginning, but it just starts irritating at this point.
The Dalek tells the Doctor that it will revert to its original mission of destruction since there are no other Daleks to issue orders. The Doctor tells the Dalek to follow one order, die. And the Dalek's response is amazing. Anybody?
You would make a good Dalek.
See? I think that's a great reversal in as far as the Doctor's journey as a character at this point.
And when you see the look on his face when he hears it.
Yeah.
Well, first, before this, I think we have the part where the Doctor tells them to give guns to everybody, including the scientists.
And lawyers.
Yeah, that's right. And you see some of those scientists.
Lawyers.
Yeah. But what the Doctor was saying to the Dalek here, I think he was also saying internally, like everything you stood for is gone. The Doctor has just wiped out 2 races. And this was a character that, felt himself, like called himself the Doctor or however he got that name. He was a healer or he is a healer, but he is still grappling with like the destruction that he has wrought on the Daleks and the Time Lords. So a lot of his conversation there to the Dalek, I was imagining that's what he's been saying internally this whole season. Like, everything you stood for is gone. Why don't you just die? Kill yourself.
What is the point of you?
Yeah.
Right.
What's the point of your existence? And maybe the Dalek is his own whipping boy, emotional whipping boy.
Yeah.
Oh, some projection. I see what you're saying. That's very good.
Digital projection.
Project.
In the scene where the Dalek comes to all of the people trying to stop him in the all those
The warehousey thing.
right.
Yeah.
We're up to that. That already happened. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
We're there.
It seemed really different to have the Dalek think the process out of turning on the sprinklers and just shooting once
Levitating.
to electrocute everybody, rather than just what a Dalek usually would do, just shoot.
Mm-hmm.
And I was wondering, is that part of Rose's ingenuity, Rose's part that's already, altering the Dalek?
It was a fire alarm, and we've seen Rose
Right.
pull those fire alarms.
Or maybe is it that the Dalek has found renewed life and is almost relishing in how to kill these humans?
No, that could be.
Yeah.
I just thought it was a great scene. I loved it, but I was
Yeah.
wondering,
And
would a Dalek do that or not?
Yeah.
It just seemed.
I like the idea that it is Rose's influence.
Yeah, because you've never really seen a Dalek think and process something. They're just
They're just doing, executing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they're moving forward and
Exterminate.
exterminate. And even with the Daleks saying other things and exterminate or levitate, or even the whole, as soon as they hear the name of the Doctor, to be playing that the
music.
whole sympathy kind of card, like, oh, I'm hurting, I'm in pain. And like before in any other episode that you see with a Dalek, they're just saying, as soon as they hear Doctor, they're like, exterminate, so.
Even in this, that's what woke up the Dalek.
Yeah.
So you're the Doctor, kill. That's all they wanted to do.
So I feel like even though he did take some of Rose's DNA, I think part of the going insane
Right.
brought some of its own emotions back. Because before, correct me if I'm wrong because I don't know a lot, but before the Daleks were in their little tin cans, they were emotional beings,
Yes.
right?
Yeah.
True.
They were
So
the Khalids.
Maybe because it was broken, it started becoming more of its
Right.
Yeah.
self.
Yeah.
Totally.
I can agree with that.
Yeah.
And I just wanted to point out that the thing when the Dalek comes through that warehousey place, it looks like a Terminator. It's like moving forward one, and then it angles towards the soldiers, and it just keeps moving forward. I don't know, very horror-like.
Yeah, they show the bullets disintegrating in the shield.
Yeah.
What year was The Matrix? What year did The Matrix?
98, 99.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
Wasn't new.
I was we haven't gotten there yet, but
Want to wait?
when the bulk, yeah.
Okay. The Doctor tells Van Staten to seal the lower levels of the complex, and I believe he calls them bulkheads. Adam makes it through a closing bulkhead, there we go, but Rose does not. The Dalek shoots at her, but for some reason it misses. But the Doctor sees this as Rose is dead. And I remember watching this thinking, no, we can't lose Rose right now. It was very well done, the way they did it.
That was when the bulkhead comes down and Rose turns and the Dalek's coming around the corner. That's when it's like, okay, it's a silly looking pepper pot. Oh God, it's still coming.
Yeah.
So it is, you kind of get that relentless feel. And this is I always think of a really geeky reference. It's like, I'm programmed to win, Rose, which is a bionic woman thing.
Yeah.
I'm programmed to win, Jamie.
So the Dalek shoots and misses. And it cannot kill Rose because it is now feeling what she feels. Part of Rose was transferred to the Dalek along with her genetic material. The Dalek tells the Doctor that it will kill Rose unless the bulkhead is reopened, and the Doctor complies. As the Doctor and Adam search for a weapon, Rose and the Dalek find Van Staten. It is going to exterminate him. Rose says there has to be no more Rose says that there has to be no more killing, and the Dalek stops.
She says there has to be more than just killing,
Ah, yes, more than just killing.
because that's all that it's programmed to do. And now that it's feeling, there's more to life. There's more to do than just killing. There's got to be something else you want.
And she asks it what it wants. The Dalek responds with freedom.
Very un-Dalek.
Un-Dalek, very
un-Dalek.
Yeah.
There's also some
Also,
part
that-
here. I don't know if it's at this point or when the Doctor shows up again. There's a music cue that I think it might be kind of the Doctor and Rose's romance music cue, but it's the first time you hear it towards the end of this episode around this
I think
time.
it's Rose's theme.
It might be Rose's theme, but
Yeah.
have we heard Rose's theme before?
Yes.
The first episode.
The first
I love Rose's
episode.
thing.
He really loves Rose's theme.
It's the one with the choir, the voices. That one.
No.
Not that one?
It's
No, the Queen of Gallifrey.
Yeah,
No,
not that one?
Not that one.
it's like sort of like a romantic.
Yeah, that's Rose's theme.
Yeah, but it's
Yes.
very subtle, and it's at the very end of it. So
There's another thing. The quick scene in the elevator with Rose and the Dalek
Yes.
is really good. It's really quick, but it's really good. Where the Dalek is like, "Why are you still alive?" Where the Dalek is like, "I don't know what's going on. You should be dead."
Mm-hmm.
I love that. And Rose just being like,
I don't know. The Rose and the Dalek go to the upper level of the complex where the Dalek shoots a hole in the ceiling, letting in sunlight. The Dalek asks how sunlight feels. It opens up its front casing, letting the sun shine onto its body for the first time in its life. And I think this is the first time we've seen what a Dalek looks like.
this clearly.
Yeah.
is it in the old series at all?
Yeah, they did.
Yeah, but not like this.
Not like full-on close-ups of...
And also, it's been done better. I didn't realize until rewatching it that it was a humanoid face. I always saw the
Just the
eye
eye,
as being
yeah.
the center of the face. And now, when we're watching it, it's kind of Stephen Hawking-ish, where it's tilted sideways, and it's
Oh,
the
really?
right eye. And you can see the eyebrow,
Yeah.
the other eyebrow,
So
and
there's
the left
another
eye
eye?
is closed.
Yeah.
Goes down to a nose, and then the mouth has...
Like a
It's
little,
sealed, but
It's
there's
kinda
another
sealed
eye
up.
there.
It's that other
Oh,
part that
wow.
bubbles up. You can see. at
Yeah.
the bottom.
But his head's cocked to one side, and it's just, and you can see the brain, and they are humanoid. They were, and so it was like, how could I have missed that all this time watching it? But I thought it was
missed I'd
great
have to
and a
look
great
at it
design.
again.
And I believe this is the clearest we ever saw them before, but we only ever saw them like, the doctor's like opening up a window and a door, and everyone would look in and go, "Ooh!"
It's more the reaction rather than the
yeah,
close-up.
and I think you might have seen like a tentacle fly back and forth.
Yeah.
So
No, then I just also saw that with that eye closed and the humanoid type thing, it looked like it was atrophied from not moving.
Right.
So, and then the vision, the eye looked like it had like some sort of disease because it was
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
glassed over. There was something. So it was just being in darkness and encased. Made
Well, it has the
that
one
way.
eye stalk. I wonder if it's just winking to look through it, like a microscope or.
I don't know. This thing reminded me of Return of the Jedi with Darth Vader wanting to see Luke with his own eyes. I don't know. That's what I thought. Doctor arrives with a weapon, which is very unlike him, and orders Rose to move out of the way. She refuses. The Doctor says that it has to die. It killed his people and destroyed his home. Rose tells him that this Dalek didn't kill Van Staten, and it couldn't kill her. It's changing.
And this is also where the Dalek asks the Doctor, "What am I?"
Yeah.
Right? And what am I becoming? And
Or what am I changing into? I think.
right. And I think that's the thesis statement of this episode and maybe even of this season of Doctor Who. What is the Doctor becoming?
Mm-hmm.
What
yeah, because
are
Rose
we
says
becoming?
that. Rose says
Yeah.
that flat out to the Doctor. What are you changing into?
And I think it's great here, the reversal, where the Doctor is purely running on emotion, like
Bad emotions too.
yeah, like primordial emotions.
Yeah, primal.
And Rose is becoming the protagonist in this episode, being the moral compass and being able to stand up to the Doctor and tell him, "No, you need to think about what you're doing. You're wrong."
But the Doctor has just done something so horrendous in killing his own people, or in his mind, killing his own people, killing all the Daleks. It doesn't have any justification if one of the Daleks survives. It's like he did this great, to him, sacrifice and horrible thing. And if the outcome is one Dalek can destroy a planet, then he did it for nothing. He needs to have that completed. He needs to make
yeah.
it worth the sacrifice that was made.
Right.
Yeah, but as Rose was just saying, but this is a Dalek that just didn't kill Van Staten.
It's a
No,
different-
no, I'm getting what you're saying, but I'm just trying to explain or
Yeah.
get in the head,
Right.
doctor's
What
head.
did I-
Not
what
that he
was it
just
all-
wants to kill it,
Right.
but it's like he needs that.
like closure, almost.
Well, like, what was it all for?
No, well, I mean, he just
The amount of guilt of what you did and it didn't work would drive him totally insane. He needs it to work, and so he needs the last Dalek to die so that it doesn't find some way to bring back other Daleks or continue in generating new Daleks
The
because they can
sacrifice
destroy
wasn't
its
in
own
vain.
planet. So it's not in vain. He's wrestling with that. And do I just kill this one that is not the same as all the others that have been killed? I mean,
But do we know that yet? Do we know that the doctor is the one that?
Yes.
in this episode, he does say
episode,
he's killed all the Daleks.
He
He
made
did
it-
it.
he
And he
made
killed
it
the Time
happen.
Lord. He made it
That
happen.
he made it happen.
He made it happen.
So he's taking responsibility
And then
for
he
what
did
happened.
say, I made it happen. And then later on, he said, I had no choice,
Okay.
which is, again, you're just kind of going, what? But we find out that the doctor killed all the Daleks and Time Lords.
All right, so the doctor realizes what he is becoming and puts down the big hairdryer. The doctor tells Rose that the exposure to his DNA, or her DNA, has mutated it into something other than a Dalek. The Dalek does not want to live that way. It pleads with Rose to give it the order to self-destruct. She reluctantly complies, and the Dalek explodes.
Wasn't it lucky that he didn't explode in a thermonuclear?
I know. I remember thinking, like, aren't they going to run?
Yeah, it's like, okay, I'm glad your implosion was nice and self-contained without
But
taking
they didn't
out
know that was going to happen.
half
Yeah,
of
they
Utah.
didn't know that either because this is the first time we've seen the Dalek
Do that.
the shield balls
Yeah, that was
come out
awesome.
and do something. Because before it was just a purely design feature. Now it's functional. So I don't think even the doctor knew that was gonna-
Dalekanium.
But it goes along with his programming in that
Yeah.
he's no longer a Dalek. He is something
else.
abhorrent to himself.
He's
And so that's the thing that he wants to get rid of, and that's what he wants to kill.
nothing else.
It's efficient.
Yeah.
It's not just that he wants to have the most damage. It's just this is something he can't live with. This is horrendous to him, to being what he's fought for such a long time.
And I think
It's really sad.
oh yeah.
It's very sad.
This is the only time that the words exterminate carry such like sadness to it. I don't think that's ever. I mean, every time you hear exterminate, it's just the Dalek's calling card rather than a point of emotion.
The other thing I kind of got when he was asking Rose to command him to let him die, to like kill himself, I was kind of like, maybe feeling emotion, not just the other way of the I'm gross and this is not what I'm programmed to do, but feeling emotion was able to rationalize all the stuff that he had been doing, or started to think about all the stuff that he's been doing and started feeling bad at how evil
I don't buy
he
that.
is. No.
I'm not, yeah.
I mean, the Dalek does say things that it's no longer a Dalek. It doesn't
wants
like
to be
that.
a
It
Dalek.
can't live that way. It is having the human influence.
He needs a good
That's
I mean, it's not happy that Rose is still alive. It's angry that Rose is still alive. It wants to know why Rose isn't dead. So it's really freaking out.
Okay.
That's how I see it.
Yeah.
Because there's still Daleks.
True. With all that done, Diana Goddard takes charge of the whole facility and orders Van Stanton's mind wiped, somewhere with an S,
That's because that's a callback to earlier in the beginning.
somewhere with an M.
Right.
Adam tells the doctor and Rose that Goddard is closing the base and filling it completely with concrete. Where did she get enough concrete to go 53 floors? Anyway,
They built. Oh, come on.
Rose can.
Plan B. 'Cause they already had it, in case something happens.
That's a big mixer. Anyway, Rose convinces the doctor to let Adam join them, and the three of them enter the TARDIS. To be continued.
Yeah, they should have taken him.
I found it interesting in this episode that Davies had pitched this idea previously, and it was rejected
By who? Like, what do you
to
mean?
the BBC. And he wanted to have a failed companion. And so that's why Adam is so prevalent in this episode. And that's
Oh.
probably why we don't like him, because we know he's not going to be a companion.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
Is that the premise they rejected?
Yeah, the premise is...
When did he pitch it? What was it pitched for?
Pitch
I mean,
it
this is the
fit.
sixth episode of the season.
No, it was in the 80s,
It was... Hold on, I'll find
the
it.
Eighth Doctor, I think.
Really?
So it was he was pitching a whole other series.
I think he was pitching to the...
Please don't bring things up unless you can fill out all the information.
I wrote it down. It's somewhere here.
I remember, and I thought it was in the Eighth Doctor
The
during that
Sixth
time
Doctor.
period.
I think it was the Sixth Doctor.
He was involved in that back then.
No, he was just a writer, young writer, having ideas and trying to pitch.
Oh, and he brought a pitch to.
Right.
the show, like a spec. Hey, I got
That's
an
my
idea. Let's
understanding.
have a failed
I mean, I know they adapted
Pretty Nebbish
novels, stories from the novels into episodes.
Can I go back to the Hydra connection? Because Van Staten is definitely, well, not definitely, but if there was a crossover, he would be head of Hydra. And I just saw the episodes of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. where the Van Strasberg or Van Straberg kid was killed by Grant Ward. Also, the connections of selling alien technology or using alien technology to advance weaponry is kind of an Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. thing. They probably stole it from Doctor Who. And we also have the guy named Simmons. And of course, on the Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., we have Fitz and Simmons, who are our resident tech people.
Yeah, see the writing.
So Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. totally ripped off Doctor Who to make to make their whole series.
It was the writer that had the original episode.
Yeah,
not
it was
Baby,
an
sorry.
audio drama from
Yeah,
Big Finish.
That's what it was. And it
was
the
called
sixth-
Jubilee.
Yeah, it was the Sixth Doctor.
Well, when you're taking statin-based drugs, you're not supposed to have grapefruit juice. Simvastatin.
And thank you for sharing.
Cholesterol,
Would you like to take that back?
which is a generic of Zocor. I think. So any listeners,
A joint venture.
put down that glass of grapefruit juice if you're taking.
So yeah, it was an audio
based
drama.
drug.
Yeah, with a failed companion, and then Russell liked it, I guess, and
It's interesting.
yeah.
Well, that's what I do like about it too. That it makes the companion seem that much more special. That not everyone can deal with this world, with this adventure.
But I also find it weird that Adam is considered a companion in canon, and I don't consider him.
I don't consider him a companion. 2
Yes,
episodes.
he is.
What?
Yeah, he traveled in the TARDIS.
Yeah, I don't consider him a companion.
There's only one
He's a
episode he
guest.
traveled.
in my book. Still,
But I didn't hate him like you guys did. I just, it's like everybody who
What do you
starts
mean?
out. But everybody who starts out
You really like
is
hearing
lost.
this.
I did.
I didn't
Over
like
and
him.
over.
I didn't say it was great, but I don't hate him like they seem to hate him.
I
It's like,
didn't
okay,
like
he's going
him.
to go with them on a trip, and next episode we can talk about
Yeah,
how he
next
changes
episode is
him,
when,
how you
yeah.
see him more.
I also think
but on
that's
this, I don't
why.
think he did anything really.
but I think that's
worthy?
why
No,
we
I-
have those feelings because we know what happened. So it's hard to kind of separate whatever.
I don't know. There was just I didn't
Yeah,
mind
he
him
really
on,
didn't
on
do anything
repeated
bad this
viewing
one.
as much because it seemed to fit the story.
And I think
I did like that he was sort of he had this like bravado to him when he was talking with the doctor, like, aren't I this cool scientist? Look at all this stuff, and the doctor's just dismissing everything like it's just toys. So it kind of knocked him down a peg. So I guess I did like him.
I did like the doctor telling Rose, kind of like as a kid getting a puppy. You have to feed it. You have to walk it.
right.
With Adam. Well, it's your responsibility. We're taking Adam along.
also, I think in the original script, Adam was supposed to be the son of Van Staten.
Oh, well, that makes more sense.
Yeah.
So he would be the statin, which is the generic of. Oh, forget, I can't finish the joke.
Just like that character in S.H.I.E.L.D. that went and killed.
Yes.
Anything else for this episode, guys?
So I'm curious. I don't know if this is a spoiler, but if it is, sorry, spoiler.
Possible spoiler.
Like-
alert.
Go for it.
So people, so you know how the Daleks start making people into Daleks?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So if they open up that Dalek, will it be like a little person inside?
Which one? Open up which one?
Well, if you open up the practical Dalek, there's a person inside controlling it.
Okay. Oh my gosh.
That's what
But you
Kenny
have to back
Baker's
The
doing
curtain
these
too
days.
far on that one, Eugene.
But you're talking
One of the
about
Time Bandits.
True. But you're talking about the creature, the Dalek within the world that we're entering. I think it's just that head piece.
Yeah. I think they would just mutate.
Oh, you mean if they open up the lower part?
Yeah, well, they.
No, I think that.
No, I don't.
I think that's the whole being is that being that we saw.
No, but
But-
they're making people into
But-
Daleks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And but then they finally have the squid head guy.
They're only taking the part that emits hatred, and so that would be in the brain. They don't need the rest of the body because the tank, if you will, of the housing of the Dalek will keep the brain alive.
Yeah, I don't think it would be. I don't think they would keep all like. You wouldn't have arms and legs.
Because you don't need them
Inside.
But then why do they have like tentacles in the eyeball?
Those are just
Mutations?
how the genetic mutation came out from Davros's.
Okay, so then it would create another kind of genetic mutation, such as that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, it's also worth pointing out that this is probably the first time that the Daleks are introduced without Davros.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Really?
I mean, because prior to that, Davros was their creator because of the
think so,
retcon and
yeah.
genesis of the Daleks
In the old series.
in the old series.
All right. Well,
He may not have always been there, but I think he was always referenced.
This one he's not mentioned
not
at all.
mentioned.
Okay, who's Davros?
Yeah, he's talked about. He is talked about.
He is talked
No,
about.
he is talked about.
Not by
Davros is
name.
talked about.
in
But he
this
talks about-
episode?
In by
Then
name,
you
but
would
not
like
by
it.
name. You know what I mean, though?
Yeah.
Like he's not outright referenced. If you know
Yeah,
what
but they
they're-
have Dalek.
no, but if you know what they're
I mean, the
talking
Dalek
about,
episodes before Davros don't mention Davros.
No, well, you're talking about this episode, though.
Davros created the Daleks.
it's retcon.
For those
he's a
listening
really
and for
good
I
one.
was
us
like, who
who are a part of this podcast and don't know.
He was in one of the later episodes, which was.
We'll get there. You have already gotten there.
Well, let's just tell people listening what the name of that episode was.
It's
Was
Journey's End.
The Journey's End. It was a two-parter.
Remember that?
Okay. No,
But
I
he
don't
was
remember.
introduced with Tom Baker, and in Genesis of the Daleks.
Genesis of the Daleks.
And the
Okay.
Time Lords send Tom Baker's doctor,
And Sarah
to
Jane.
Skaro, which is the home planet of the Daleks, before the Daleks are created. And then they find out that the Dalek race were humanoids called Kalids. And Davros
was like the scientist.
was the scientist who engineered perfect
War machines.
war machines to beat their foe. I can't remember what they were called. The other race.
The dolls? No, that's
Thals.
Thals. That's
Thals. And
gotta come up with some
he
better
wipes.
naming
So Davros
system.
strips all emotion out of the Kalids, genetically mutates them, and shoves them into the Dalek armor.
Well, here, look.
Kayla's backwards is Dalek.
Yeah, see, that's why. Well, so let me read this. Since his introduction in 1975, Genesis of the Daleks, Davros has appeared in every subsequent Dalek story in the original series run. He is not named in this episode, but the Doctor describes him as "quote unquote" a genius, a man who was king of his own little world.
Just like Van Statten.
Yeah.
That helps. It really does. It's just I was just
that's
lost.
I don't know how to read you right now. Anyway.
We also didn't have any sonic screwdriver in this episode at all.
Yeah,
I don't
That's
think.
true.
Yeah, I think that's cool.
Vince Stat would have taken it.
So, well, would we use this as an introduction to a new Who viewer? Josh.
I don't think. At first, I thought yes, but then I thought this isn't the usual Doctor that we see, and it's more poignant when you know the difference. So no.
Just to know.
Frank.
I love this episode. I would say yes, because I think it sets up a lot of things that can be answered in other episodes that you don't need. I guess I could be wrong because other people who did watch it first are giving me that look.
10 minutes in. They were critical 10 minutes.
But I think it could be a good one to see if they would like what the Doctor is and some of the.
There's no fun Doctor in this episode, though, and that's a big draw to the series.
Yeah, but this is good.
True, I'm going to say yes,
is
though,
good.
just because I think it's a really good episode.
Somebody's got to say.
Yeah, I would definitely say yes.
Okay.
Just because you see the character arc that the Doctor goes through in this episode, where he starts and where he winds up at the end. I think it says a lot for the series as a whole.
Mm-hmm. Good. Albert.
Yeah, I really like the episode. I think it's probably one of the stronger episodes that I've seen. But as a first episode for somebody coming in fresh, I'm going to say no. Just because it is a different side of the Doctor that I feel like we should show, or a viewer should see some of the happy, more lighter side of the Doctor before we get into
The darker.
the darkness.
All right. Kelsey.
And on rewatching this, I really like this episode as well. But the first time I watched it, this being my first episode ever of this reboot 2005 series, yeah, the episode is just, it was too talky and maybe even like too violent. Like a lot of people
Friends
just
did complain.
dying with like
Really?
their skeletons showing
Well,
for
200 people
a
did die in
minute.
this episode, so that is a lot.
And
Well, there's also torture. And
then the reveal of the Dalek just like totally grossed me out.
I think that was the point, though.
Yeah.
yes or
So
no?
even though this episode is amazing, I would have to say no based on personal experience.
Yeah, she can say firsthand.
Yeah, that's true. For me, I'm torn too because I really found myself just watching this episode, but as a new Who viewer to start off with, I don't know, maybe no. I'm gonna have to go with no. So
Who knew?
So great episode, but not an introductory one that we would choose.
Have we had a unanimous vote yet?
I haven't been keeping track.
Well, we've had a couple no's.
Well, we haven't had a
We were
unanimous yes.
no's.
Yeah, unanimous no's, but Rose.
That'd be a good band name.
I don't think we had even
Unanimous no's.
With all of us here, we haven't had a unanimous.
Yeah, that's true.
Vote, so.
That episode's coming.
Yeah. You've heard our views. What do you think of this episode? Is it too dark and missing the fun? Or does the drama make for a great episode? Let us know. Email us at whoknewpodcast@gmail.com. So I guess that's it. That wraps it up for us for the Dalek episode, and we will see you when the future becomes the present.
You've just listened to an episode of Who Knew?
Our wonderful theme music is by Michael Grady. You can find his work at theuniverseexplodes.com.
You can find this show in several places. Follow us on Twitter at Who Knew Podcast. Subscribe, review, and listen to us on iTunes and Stitcher, or on our YouTube channel, youtube.com/Who Knew Podcast.
All our episodes are on whoknewpodcast.com. You can leave comments there or email us at whoknewpodcast@gmail.com.
This podcast is inspired by Doctor Who, the longest running sci-fi show in history, and especially the revival spearheaded by Russell T. Davis.
Thanks to Russell, Sidney Newman, Verity Lambert, Ron Grainer, and all of those involved in the adventures of our favorite Time Lord. Your work continues to inspire and entertain.